for more information about how you can donate to that charity as we present these interviews throughout the course of the weekend. Our first one, so starting the tone. This is the first one of the weekend. My name's Len Sultana. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Convention Collective and also an Englishman in San Diego. I get the chance to talk to some interesting people when I get to do panels like this. And this is somebody who has been part of a film which has definitely dominated the headlines when it comes to pop culture over the last couple of years. Julian Lewis Jones, welcome along, sir. It's a pleasure to have you joining us today.
Thanks so much, Len. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League very soon indeed. Obviously, that has been a huge film for your career and also for just pop culture in general in recent years. But, I mean, you've got such a backlog of great work in your CV. So I want to kind of get into, your acting career a bit. Born in Anglesey and trained at the Welsh College of Music and Dancing. I mean, where did that bug for acting kind of get started?
Drama.
Sorry.
College of Music and Drama.
Music and drama, do.
No, I'm not a dancer. Only when I've had a few. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, that's fine.
Listen, you've got to have all these skills in your hand.
I know. No, so yeah, so I went to drama school relatively late on in some regards because, like you say, you know, I grew up on Anglesey. I started off as an apprentice electrician. I had no intention, no thought whatsoever of becoming an actor. That was the last thing that would have crossed my mind. I was very shy, really, and no, I didn't do any, you know, drama or anything in school. It just nothing like that. And then I almost finished an apprenticeship, and then I found it wasn't the right thing for me. Then I did all kinds of stuff. Then I lived in London. I became a gym instructor, security guard. I lived in the States. I spent there, you know, a year there. Worked on a tuna fishing boat, labouring, doing all, you know, it was mainly manual work that I was doing. I'd left school at 15, you know, and then did this YTS and stuff. And for those old enough to remember YTS, £26 or something a week. And then when my second period, when I was in the States, I was in living in Los Angeles with a cousin of mine who was a model who was trying to get into acting. And I got into that kind of LA thing. You know, everyone wants to be an actor. And so I read about drama schools and stuff, and there was a magazine which is no longer in existence called Interview magazine, which Andy Warhol started back in the 60s, must have been. So I was reading these interviews with actors and stuff, and they'd all gone to this, you know, RADA place, you know, this kind of drama school. And so I thought, you know, I was in the cinema one day, and I thought, you know, I reckon I could do this. I was a bit like Yossa Hughes in Boys from the Black stuff, you know. I was like, I can do that, you know. So then I phoned my dad up. I says, Dad, I'm coming back to Wales. I'm going to be an actor. And he's like, oh God, you know.
That must have been an interesting conversation.
I was like, what now? What now? You've done all these things. So then I came back. I was 22, and then I applied for RADA. That was the first time I acted. Was my RADA audition. I didn't get in. I had, you know, no experience or anything, and then I discovered there were more drama schools, and so I auditioned for 3 more. The last one was Welsh College of Music and Drama, and luckily for me, the head of acting at the time, Andrew Neil and Paul Clements, they must have seen something in me, some kind of, whatever you call it, raw talent or spark, and they gave me a recall, and I got in, and I started drama school when I was 23. So I did 3 years, you know, in Welsh College, and it was, for me, I had no idea what to expect. You know, movement classes, voice classes, all this kind of stuff going on. And I can remember one of our head of movement and voice telling me when we were doing a class, you know, I want you to pretend that you're a piece of seaweed swimming in a sea of syrup. And I was like, I don't want to be seaweed. I want to be Robert De Niro. You know what I mean? I've got no interest in being seaweed. That's how kind of far removed I was from, you know, the whole drama school, all this, you know, artifact kind of stuff. But anyway, it served me well. I graduated, and then I started working as an actor then back in 94, 95. Yeah, 94.
So Robert De Niro there. I mean, what other acting idols were you kind of driven to following? I mean, was it the kind of like the headliners that were attracting you to actors, or was it those character actors that really have built up a real body of work?
Well, I'd always loved like De Niro, and obviously the two Welsh greats, you know, Burton and Hopkins. But I also liked, I loved that generation, you know, like Peter O'Toole, Richard Harris, Oliver Reed, Robert Shaw's a big hero of mine. And I'd grown up a lot, you know, watching films. Those are my influences. I didn't go to the theatre. We didn't have that, you know, where I grew up. So I, as a kid, I must have seen thousands of films. My parents were, you know, they like films. So, you know, all the way from, you know, Will Hay to John Wayne to Errol Flynn to Bob Hope and whoever, you know, I watched a lot of movies as a kid. So obviously that had sort of gone into my being in some ways. And so, you know, I didn't have the experience of theatre. It was movies and telly and stuff that were, you know, influential in my life. And leaving drama school, that's what I wanted to do, you know, is to do movies and TV.
Well, I mean, like I say, the films and TV that you have got in your back catalogue, I mean, we could just talk about those, quite frankly. I mean, you could go into Torchwood, which, of course, was your first feature role on television, and then going through into the Tudors. But, I mean, we've got the kind of audience which enjoys talking about Doctor Who and Torchwood. I mean, what was that experience like starring in that series?
Well, I only did an episode. It was basically I played Captain Alex. I'm trying to remember now because it was a while ago, who was the boss, if you like, of Torchwood before Captain Jack, who was obviously played by John Barrowman. So it was at the turn of the millennium, I think, and everything was going to go bad, and my character ends up ending his life at the stroke of midnight, you know, at the turn of the millennium. And so, you know, in the story, obviously, then it was like a backstory, if you like, of how Torchwood got started, or how, you know, Captain Jack became the boss of Torchwood. And it was literally a couple of days filming for me on it, you know. And I'm friends with Eve, obviously, who played the lead in Torchwood, and a few of the actors on it. But Eve's husband, Brad, and I had acted quite a bit at Theatre Clwyd. We did a lot of theatre up in North Wales. So I knew, you know, Wales is pretty small like that. And, you know, the acting business is pretty small anyway. But in Wales, everyone tends to know each other, you know.
I mean, I think the reason also that I wanted to bring Torchwood up is because it is a series with a real dedicated and hardcore fan base, which, safe to say, Zack Snyder's Justice League has got itself its own army of fans. I mean, I'm wondering what the reaction to fans who were Doctor Who, diehard Doctor Who and diehard Torchwood fans. I mean, what was their reaction to yourself as an actor coming in? Did you instantly start getting that kind of reaction and rapport with the fans?
Not so much. No. You know, I think, you know, I've got children, right? So, you know, my son was a huge Doctor Who fan. So, you know, right from when Russell T kicked it off again with Chris Eccleston and then David Tennant and stuff. So we watch a lot of Doctor Who at home. You know, given the age of the children at the time, Torchwood is a bit adult for them in that sense. So, but I knew the influence and kind of effect that Torchwood had, because it was the step up from Doctor Who. It was the kind of adult version in that sense, and it tackled issues that you couldn't do in Doctor Who, and it had a grittiness, and it was different. It was more real in some ways, and I'm just proud to have been a part in it, and I think that episode was obviously an important episode. So yeah, it's just nice to be one of the people that went through the sliding doors, if you like, of Torchwood.
Fair enough. And when I talk about the big fan base, obviously with Justice League, you also had all that the build up from the previous films as well. So there was a lot of anticipation for what Zack Snyder was going to do with that film. You obviously you say you love your films. You've seen the previous episodes of the DC Extended Universe. When did you first find out about Justice League, and how hard did you chase to be a part of that film?
Well, I can remember exactly where I was when I auditioned. I had to do a self-tape. Because of, COVID and everything now, self-tape has become the norm.
Yeah.
Back then, I'm going back over 5 years now, right? So, it happened, but not to anything the extent that it does now. So I was rehearsing a play in Cardiff at the time. It was a new play, and I can remember I was staying at the Ibis Hotel, and I had to do the audition for, I was literally, this has to be in, the tape has to be in by tomorrow. So I had a big beard for it anyway, bigger than this now. And there was nobody to read with me, right? So there's nobody to read the offlines. So I had to kind of act by myself. So I set up, I probably didn't have a tripod. I managed to balance my phone on between a couple of books or a Bible or something that you have in hotels. And so I managed to film myself and leave gaps for the, other imaginary actor saying the lines back to me. And then I sent it into my agent, and I didn't hear for a while. And then, God, that was probably right at the beginning of January. And then I heard it then in...
What was that, January?
January 2000.
Was that January?
16.
Right.
16, yeah. And then I got offered, to play the King of Atlantis in it. And then I was on the job. My first experience was my first costume fitting. And they're very thorough with the measurements and everything. And I went to Warner Brothers, and it was a big operation. It was a big operation. I remember seeing Batman's costume there on a mannequin, and then they tried some stuff on me, which was, I think it might have been the same suit that Jason Momoa had. They wanted to sort of get, a rough kind of look or whatever. And it says, we need to try a cloak on you, because you have a cloak as the king. So they didn't have one made for me, so they brought me Superman's cloak. So then I got to be Superman for a couple of minutes. So I had a kind of Aquaman-y type costume with Superman's cloak on as well. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I just used to go then, and you'd have like fight rehearsals and assessments, and then more and more costume fittings, because they paid so much attention with the costumes. And then you start. Then I was on it then for 6 weeks. I probably only shot 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, I absolutely loved that job, because I used to get picked up. We stayed in a nice hotel. There was myself, Ray Fisher, Brooke Hens, Sergi Constance. There was quite a few of us in the hotel. So we get picked up, and we go to the gym. It's the fittest I've ever been, honestly. I loved it. And we had Mark Whyte, who is the inventor of Jim Jones, which is the system. It has kind of CrossFit elements to it. but he's the guy who was responsible for getting the guys in shape for 300. Henry Cavill for Superman, and he trained. He'd had. I was lucky. I got to train with the Amazons, so not a bad gig. And then we'd be sort of me, myself. It'd be Ray Fisher in the gym, Ezra, Jason, and we'd all sort of sometimes we'd cross over. Zack Snyder be in the gym first thing in the morning. He keeps himself in great shape, and so I loved it. Absolutely, what a fantastic job it was,
Yeah, I saw the recent interview with Zack Snyder where he talked about having the gym installed on set and how the man keeps himself in shape, but even he got intimidated by some of the workout schedules that were put.
When you're lying on the ground in a pool of your own sweat, panting, and you know that you trained hard then.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, it's amazing. It takes you to another level in your head. And when I came back after finishing filming, I was kind of like, I was a different person. I felt not just physically I was different, but I felt mentally I was different. I wasn't able to maintain it, but I can sort of, if I ever get to that level again, I'll be very happy. Yeah.
I know in the IMDb listing and the general listings for the film, it's listed as Ancient Atlantean King.
Yeah.
Was Atlan mentioned as a name for you? When did you find out about that character?
Well, it was, I'm doing a job at the moment which I can't talk about, and everything nowadays is so secretive because of leaks and stuff like this. You only need one person, in thousands of people, if you like, that work on these big films, to leak something, and it spoils it. So I didn't see a script. We only had our scenes that we were involved with, and anything you wanted to know, you asked and were told.
Yeah.
I can remember being in makeup with Willem Dafoe, right, who is one of my heroes, right? He's, from way back when, from before Platoon and stuff, and Willem Dafoe, and I said, "Oh, hi, Willem, I'm Julian." Hi, Julian. And he's like, "So who are you playing?" I went, "Well, I'm playing the King of Atlantis." Okay. Well, I'm Volcor. Is it Volcor? Volcor. Yeah. So who are you? Are you Echoman's father? And I went, "I don't know. Fuck. Maybe I'm his father. I don't know. I don't know who the fuck I am." So that was my conversation with Willem Dafoe in makeup, which is fantastic. And then when they released it, we all went to Leicester Square to watch it. He wasn't in it.
No.
And I was like, what? Willem Dafoe. It's Willem Dafoe, man. This is like, the Green Goblin. This is like, it's like one of the finest actors in the world. And you've cut him out completely, and Robin Wright Penn, she wasn't in the first, thing that was put together.
Yeah.
And, I was astonished really when that happened, but obviously the stuff happened which I wasn't involved in or didn't know anything about. But when I saw Zack's director's cut, it was all there. It was all there. And it was so, and it needed it, it was like, it just made it so much better. The way that he put that film together was incredible, really. And to sort of, to make it into parts like episodes, it made it like a fable, I just thought it was beautifully made, and beautifully put together. And it made sense. It made sense. I thought the first one was I don't know, it was a bit of a mess. But
it was an attempt at making a tentpole movie, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is a film. it's it's day and night, I think.
Yeah, it's so different, you know, and people, and that's what's fantastic, is that it's got this reaction which it deserved, because when you're filming it, you know that you're part of something special.
Yeah.
And Zack is such a lovely guy, such a visionary, and such a lovely director to work for.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because I wasn't too sure how much Zack did with your scenes, whether it was more of a second unit director kind of performance, or
no. He was
there.
Yeah. He's full on. He's hands on, and it was all green screen. Obviously, the only stuff that wasn't green screen was the stuff they shot in Iceland and London, I think, a bit, but. I loved working with him. You know, I'm lucky to have worked with some amazing directors. You know, I've worked with Clint Eastwood for 3 months. I've worked with Catherine Bigelow, Zack. So I'm very lucky to have worked with some amazing directors. You know, and what you find is that they trust the actors. Those type of directors, they don't bully, they don't try and intimidate you, they don't, they trust you and respect you. So if you need to be directed, then they'll help you out. But if you just go with your instinct as a performer, as an actor, then they'll just let you do it. So it was a very nice experience.
Excellent. I mean, it sounds like, from what I've heard, certainly with Zack's involvement, there was that a real sense of, like you say, camaraderie on set. What then did you feel about how the production evolved? Obviously, with Joss Whedon taking over.
Well, I wasn't part of that at all. We had to do one pickup shot. What happened to Zack, was tragic, and his wife. And so, that's terrible what happened. So as regards what happened in the edit or post or whatever, and the reshoots and this, that, the other, I had no idea.
Right.
So.
That's fair. I mean, it's interesting that I knew that Willem Dafoe was on set. I didn't know about Robin Wright. That was interesting. So obviously things were building up for the production of Aquaman, which I believe the year after.
Yeah.
What was there any conversations about you taking your role into that? I think that's the reason why I asked the question about the ancient Atlantean king, because Atlan does appear in.
Yeah, but it's a different actor,
Indeed.
So that wasn't part of the conversation. I don't know why.
No, I was wondering if you were just thinking, franchise.
Naturally, in my head, when Aquaman, gets announced and everything like that, and obviously Willem's going to be in it and stuff, and then I did think, well, maybe they'll, but different director, different circumstances. Who knows what would have happened if you can overthink these things. So at the end of the day, I'm very proud to be a part of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah, that's good enough for me.
And what was your thoughts on? I mean, we've talked about the broader reaction to the film, but the restoring of the scenes with yourself and Willem and with Robin, and indeed that whole section at the beginning of the film.
That whole history lesson now was what we shot.
Yeah.
So when I, saw the kind of edited, version that was out 3-4 years ago, I was like, where's all the stuff gone? Where's all the scenes gone? Where's all that gone? It's like it wasn't there. So when you see, the trailers, and obviously the fans were massive, in getting this done. Without the fans, then, I can't vouch for it, but they would not have been done, because there was such a I called for it because I think people realized something was not right.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I can't go into detail about it, but when I watched the film, I watched it not just as because I'm part of it, but because I watched it with my son. Watched it first, and he's doing his masters in film directing now. So I trust his judgment, and he told me, "Dad, you're gonna love it," you know. And I'd taken him to the premiere in London, so he says, "Dad, it's very different, and you're gonna love it," you know. And the reviews started coming out then, and then you think, "My God, you know, this is so different, so exciting to be a part of it," and it is. It's one of the best for me, not just because I'm in it. It's one of the best sort of superhero films I think that's ever been, because it has such a scale to it. It has such a story, you know. It goes back in time, and I love all that kind of stuff about things happening again for a reason. You know, seems to be something that happens to us nowadays. You know, I love it, and just the look of it. You know, the kind of. I'm a big fan of like that old type of storytelling, those fables. You know, and I loved that whole sequence when Aquaman went back and all that kind of music that came in, and I thought it was epic. You know, really amazing, really.
Have you seen the black and white version as well?
I haven't. No. It's down. I've recorded it. So no, I've been busy. I've kind of been on another job in Warner Brothers, so I'm back and forth from London at the moment. So I was back there this week. So yeah, so I'm gonna, you know, give myself a little bit of time. So I've been concentrating on sports sort of recently.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say the eye line may keep flicking to your left. I know that Swansea playing.
It's not good at the moment, mate.
Oh man, okay. Well, we'll get a couple more questions out of you, and then let you kind of cheer them on and recover from that. Okay. I think, like I say, the one element of the Justice League, the whole production, has been the fans. Just how strong a fan base they've been supporting Zack Snyder, supporting that vision coming to eventually to screens. What's been the reaction to fans for yourself? I mean, did you go online when the Snyder Cut came out? Did you get?
It was almost instant, you know, because obviously I now feature in the movie, whereas before I was like a second or something.
Yeah. So
now they kind of know exactly who I am, and so it was instant. You know, it was like Twitter went a bit crazy for me. And it's great, and it's such a positive response. That's what's so lovely, is that the fans have been so positive, so interested, so passionate about it, you know, and it just proves that Zack was 110% right to do what he did and bring out his original vision of it. You know, I think it was completely meant to be, you know. I think that, you know, to dedicate it to his daughter, and it was so touching and moving and so right for him to do that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we've got we talked about the other actor that is taking on the role of Atlan, which is Graham McTavish, the great Graham McTavish. So we got Aquaman 2 coming down the pipe. There may be a role the Atlan.
No, it might be Graham's grandfather.
Indeed. Well, that was the thing. I mean, I think the question was going to be, if Aquaman is no longer kind of on the cards, is there another superhero movie or another superhero character or storyline that you'd like to be involved in? I mean, do you know much about your comics, and is there any?
I'm not. I mean, you know, when I grew up, you know, it was Batman, Spider-Man, the Hulk. It was a mix, really. So I'm not a die-hard comic fan in that sense, but they are, I suppose, this generation's westerns in a lot of ways. That westerns are few and far between now.
Yeah.
I think that the whole thing now with good against evil, that is now the realms, the territory of superheroes and heroines, and so when those films are done well, I really enjoyed the Joker recently, because it wasn't that type of film. It was more of a study of a man and his.
It was definitely. I mean, the way it was stylized as well.
Yeah,
with the
I really enjoyed it.
It was very 70s. It was very noir.
I loved it because it was so different. And Joaquin Phoenix is a genius actor. He is a genius actor.
It does sound like you're very much a fan of more classic filmmaking and storytelling. I mean,
I like all types of movies. There's not one particular type of film. If the film is good, if the story's strong, if there's good performances, it's different, it has an edge, gets me interested, then I'll enjoy it, whatever it is, whatever genre it is. It doesn't matter. It could be comic book, it could be romance, Korean horror. I don't care, as long as it's good, and that's all I care about, really.
Fair enough.
It's I really enjoyed. Oh God, my mind's gone.
It doesn't help when you be distracted. I get it.
No, the Parasite.
Oh right, yeah.
I absolutely love that movie. I watched it recently. Even though I think it was out a year ago, wasn't it? Because of the Oscars, and everything. I thought it was a phenomenal film. I'm very different, and and to think that that was Korean, but in that film, it's just the same. It's a different language, just the same as what we all go through.
It's strong storytelling. It's
just great storytelling at the end of the day. And I have to say I did love the Nolan films. And because he has his own style, just like Zack has his own style. It's I love all that kind of stuff as well. So
cool. And just to wrap things up, I mean, I think I kind of, when you were talking about this, the Warner Brothers project that you're on, you could see the little red dot from outside the window, the sniper rifle. Just because you know what Warner Brothers are like, they keep a close eye on you.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you can talk about that you've got coming down the pike that will be seeing you in future?
Well, this thing I'm doing now will be out next year. I don't know where I stand, where I can say. Right.
I think there'll be a little bit of detective work on several.
Yeah. And then there's another thing now that I'm waiting on, which if I get, then I'll be filming in Prague. So I'm just waiting now to hear about it. Touch wood, it looks good, but you never know.
Yeah.
Like they say, until you're on set with a cup of tea and a bacon roll, don't take it for granted.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck with the projects as they come. Looking forward to seeing what the Warner Brothers thing is. I think I have an idea.
Okay.
Best of luck with that. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where is the best place for people to follow what you're doing online? I mean, where do you live?
I'm on Instagram. Yeah. I probably post on Instagram more than anything. And a lot of it is, I'm a mad keen fisherman. Fishing and rugby are my two passions. Acting pays the bills, and then fishing and rugby are my two passions. So
pays for the bait.
Yeah. So Instagram, you can find me there, and Twitter as well.
What's the Instagram address? What's the handle?
It might be Jules Lewis Jones or something like that. I can probably find out for you now if you like.
Yes. We'll work it out.
Bear with me, and I'll tell you exactly. Right. Yes, it's Jules Lewis Jones on Instagram, and then my Twitter. As you can tell, I'm really good. Julian Lewis Jones on Twitter.
Excellent stuff.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we'll pay close attention to those, and we'll certainly keep an eye on you on screens, big and small, down the line. Julian, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much indeed for talking to me.
You're welcome. Great to talk to you guys.
Thanks.
Okay. Adios, amigos.